So Donald Trump and his billionaire buddies are hanging out with the Saudis this week because supposedly they're giving us a whole bunch of money and effectively the USA is begging for cash. So I want to give you guys the details of this stuff and let's just jump right in. So at first, the Saudis were promising $600 billion, and you read early reports on that. Basically, they gave a lower number, and Trump said, guys, I need to keep the numbers bigger. We got to keep making them bigger because Japan just said 500 and something. Can you say 600? Can you make it bigger? And then when they arrived, the USA is like, hey, can you make it bigger again? Can you make it $1 trillion? And Saudis are like, okay, fine. Talk is cheap. All you have to do is just say it and you'll be happy. So that's what this ends up being. There's nothing really actually real about these numbers other than they did say it and they are shaking hands, I guess, on this stuff, whatever that means. This is Besant shaking hands, and they are indeed signing landmark frameworks is what they say. So he says, this week I signed several landmark frameworks for enhanced cooperation between the United States and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And then he goes on to say, delivering real benefits for the American people. And that's a question I pose to you then. Are these real benefits for American people?
The president uses the number 20 trillion in terms of total investments. And I think that those commitments that are real. And whether it's corporate investment, whether it's the Japanese trade deal where they're going to put in 550 billion, that whether it's the Korean trade deal with 350 billion, whether it's Apple saying that they're going to reshore, I believe that they may be up to 500 billion. So it's investments like we've never seen. And Brett, just to put that in perspective, the entire Biden administration was 1 trillion. 1 trillion over 4 years, 250 billion the final year. And we've got many single investments that are bigger than the Biden administration took in 1 year. So this is America's back. The president's done that, our great tax policy. So we're deregulating, we've got tax certainty, and we're working on energy certainty.
Okay, so according to Scott Besant, just want to hear it. Biden over 4 years, maybe $1 trillion of investment, and suddenly I guess Trump, are we claiming 20 trillion in 1 year? And he's like, oh my God, we're just dwarfing Biden's numbers. But like, is that even possible? Is it even possible for countries to give greater than their GDP to Trump? Does that even make sense? And then he even quoted like Korea at 350 billion, but I told you guys here in Korea, they're saying we can do 20 billion a year max. That's maximum. That doesn't even guarantee necessarily they're even going to send that money. And then the way that you calculate the trillions, I don't even know where they come with 20 trillion other than Trump just makes up a new number every day. And that's the question I always pose to you. Is this money real? And do you see it in your neighborhoods? Trump then went out and said, it's 270 billion at the U.S. Saudi Investment Forum, more American jobs, more American wealth. And again, I want to hear from people on the ground in the USA. Do you see this money? Are there more jobs? Is there more wealth? It's just a legitimate question because we don't even actually have government data to tell us what the job situation is. I told you guys in the last video, they canceled the job report, so we don't even know what the official numbers are. And then when you look at like the Trumps, that they're saying all this money is going to be related to AI. This is their plan. Look, this is the tweet out from the White House right now. Investment in AI is helping to make the U.S. economy the, quote, hottest in the world, right? This is all based on AI, which I consider to be a massive bubble. And even if it does work, the whole goal is to replace you, the worker, and that's not going to do well in a consumer-based economy, right? And then he says, now I understand how this game is played, but overregulation by the states is threatening to undermine this growth engine. Oh no, we're worried about overregulation, okay? He says some states are even trying to embed DI technology into AI models, producing woke, and they'll start going off and off about that. Now, here's the thing. If you want to build an AI data center in, say, your neighborhood, be it Ohio, Indiana, Arizona, or wherever, you need land, you need power, and you need people to build said things. And one of the things that you would want then is to cut regulations so you can basically take people's power. That's basically what it boils down to. Or you can, cut regulations so you can just basically take people's land. And in some situations, like you may be, and someone actually wrote about this in our community, and I always appreciate reading stuff from you guys because I like to hear from people on the ground, but they wrote about, like, say that they go down to their local, city councils, this sort of thing, and be like, hey, I don't want to pay more for my electricity, because I guess some people will get letters in the mail or your bill, and you'll see that essentially your electricity goes up Because if a big data center comes to your neighborhood, that's going to demand a lot of power. And so if there's more demand in your neighborhood, your rates are going to go up, right? So that's what's going on. And so from Trump's point of view, deregulate, take all that land, take all that power, right? Forget about regular American people. Supposedly then we're going to keep drilling and drilling and drilling, and then you want to deregulate to screw the environment. That's basically all this boils down to. They won't talk about that stuff because I'll just say this. The regular average person, I'm pretty sure, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the regular American would like clean water. I think that's something that people would like. People like clean air. I hope so, at least. And I think people want lower electricity bills. I don't think people want dirty water, dirty air, and higher electricity. But if you guys are wrong, or if I'm wrong in that, and you correct me and say, no, Chris, I really want those AI data centers, and I hate cheap electricity bills. I really want expensive electricity. Please let me know. But this is what I have to explain to you guys because it's so obvious the game that they're playing. And then they fool their MAGA followers to say, oh, we're all protecting you from woke AI. Musk then is like, hey, AI, money, what's going on? And he's hanging out with the Saudis also begging for cash, trying to raise $15 billion. This is the actual White House photos today. That's Musk, that's Jensen Huang. NVIDIA reported earnings, so I guess NVIDIA is still making money. That's what they said. And there's the Saudis all smiling. Everyone's all smiling. We're all smiles. And Elon Musk is like, hey, I'm going to get some of that sweet, sweet cash. This is one of his buddy accounts, Doge designer. They're tweeting out. There's Elon, there's the Crown Prince, and supposedly they're making a bunch of deals. So Elon then says, we got to make these deals because you're all going to be rich and we're going to eliminate poverty. Have a listen to Elon here.
But AI and humanoid robots will actually eliminate poverty. And Tesla won't be the only one that makes them. I think Tesla will pioneer this, but there will be many other companies that make humanoid robots. But there is only basically one way to make everyone wealthy, and that is AI and robotics.
And we can't talk about robotics without AI.
All right, so according to Elon, the only way you're all going to get rich is with his AI and robotics, I guess, right? And he literally writes it here. The most likely outcome is that AI and robots make everyone wealthy. So the supposed richest dude in the world is saying you're all going to be rich by buying his stuff. In fact, far wealthier than the richest person on earth. Look, that's what he's saying here. By this, I mean that people will have access to everything from medical care that is superhuman to games that are far more fun than what exists today. We do need to make sure AI cares deeply about truth and beauty for this to be a probable future. And so this is the question I pose because lots of people on the internet love Elon. They think Elon's a hero and the most awesome dude in the whole world. Is that the plan? Is that your plan that you plan on? Is that, I guess, when I get sick, a robot's going to take care of me because according to Elon, robots and medical care, right? And when I want to have fun, I'm just going to play his awesome video games made by AI. And so this kind of fantasy world that Musk keeps promoting is basically geared to a certain kind of person. It's just like this young dude who needs a father figure or needs a girlfriend or whatever. And Elon, the stuff that he says, oh my God, Elon's promising me a girlfriend. He's promising me video games. And if I get sick, I go to the robot doctor. That's so fantastic. And then Elon puts out these nonstop, AI videos promising you your AI girlfriend is going to be like this. And oh, by the way, you have to pay Elon a monthly fee to make all these images if you want your robot girlfriend and, AI lover, whatever. Seriously, this is the plan. It's a bunch of fantasy and nonsense, but I guess people go for it. And if you don't go for it, they'll come get you. This is what they're promoting. This is just a few minutes ago. This is what it says. It says, ICE threats and harassment could bring prison time under new GOP HALO Act. So they're saying if you threaten these people or whatever, and I'm sure they're gonna define threat broadly. Like maybe if you yell at them or something like that, they'll say, "Oh, you're threatening me, therefore we can arrest you." And then they're saying up to 5 years in prison. So if you call them out on their BS, 5 years in prison. That's what this ends up being. And if you take a look at some of their messaging today, this is from the Department of Labor. And again, we didn't get any job numbers, but we do get a picture of Trump, which is basically a 1984 kind of, menacing photo. You can see right there. This is their actual, imagery they're putting out there. And it's like this Big Brothers type stuff watching you. So more militarization of the American cities, more, law enforcement, I guess you want to call it, or ICE goons masked up to come arrest you. And you got Big Brother watching. It's crazy, their imagery, that they don't hide what they're doing. It's all public, and I just have to show you guys what it is. And I always like to hear from MAGA on this stuff because usually they come in and say, oh, Chris, you're so dumb. Elon Musk is the smartest guy in the world. He's so rich, and he promised we're all going to be rich because of AI and robots. And it's like, all right. I mean, show me the money then, guys. If you're all rich from Elon's AI and robots, show me the money. This is what he says here from Elon. He says, I would like to thank President Trump for all he has done for America and the world. As Elon's hanging out with a bunch of Saudis saying, hey, I'm going to get the money and you're all going to be rich. This is Elon talking about said money. Listen to this.
Yeah, we're excited to announce that we're doing a 500 megawatt.
500 megawatt.
500 megawatt, yeah.
We're doing 500 megawatts.
Sorry,
Not
there's.
quite, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's 500 gigawatt one. We'll have to wait. That'll be $8 bazillion trillion.
Stop that.
So yeah, we're doing a XAI and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia are doing
You mean 500 megawatts starting with 50?
So that's Elon hanging out, just bragging about, oh yeah, we're going to just build all these great, wonderful things. We're all getting rich, 500 billion, a gazillion dollars or whatever, right? That's what he's talking about. And then you hang over to the White House. This is their plan. Their plan is to weaken education. That's their plan, right? I guess we're all going to get rich in robots, and then they're going to weaken education. They're going to claim it's to get rid of bureaucracy, but what it boils down to is this is real. The guy, person in charge of the education department in the USA was a former pro wrestler CEO, right? Professional wrestling CEO is now our education department. So go figure how things are turning out. And then it's interesting, you heard over to the Department of Labor, and they're talking about bad math scores in USA. These are discussions. Listen.
So almost 1 in 5, that's 18% of first-year students at UCSD this year could not pass Algebra 1. That's 8th grade math. The last I checked, that's 12, 13-year-old kids. And
right? So they're basically saying we can't do math. So I guess our solution is dissolve the Department of Education, and they're complaining about that our kids can't do math at university, right? And then they're saying here, you're all going to work at McDonald's. That's seriously what they're doing right here. This is the Department of Labor, she says, from helping employees reach their education and career goals to creating thousands of new jobs, McDonald's is committed to supporting the American worker, right? You can see it all in their social media. They're complaining about education, delete education, and then they're like pumping up McDonald's jobs. That's what they're doing. And then when you talk about, say, factory jobs, Trump has some things to say about this. And this is regarding the Hyundai plant. You got to listen to this. This is crazy.
We had one case in Georgia where a battery factory, batteries are very dangerous to make. They're complex, much more complex than people understand. And they spent $1 billion to build a factory. And they were told to get out. And I said, stop it. Don't be stupid. And we worked it out. And now they're teaching our people how to do it. But they're going to have to spend, Jensen, I don't think you can open up a big plant with your friend from Taiwan where we're going to have 40 or 50% of the computer chip business I don't think you can do that with people that don't even know what a chip looks like. Do you agree with that? So somehow, the people that are against this are really, really smart. They're unbelievable patriots, but they just don't understand. Our people have to be taught. This is something they've never done.
So that was Donald Trump referring to the Hyundai plant situation in Georgia. And apparently he's claiming that he was against it all along. He calls his own people stupid. and like, if he was really against it, he would have called up the phone, got on the phone to me and said, get them out, release them, etc. But he didn't do that. I think the people were in detention for like 5 days. And effectively now Trump's in a real bind because he needs to bring business to the USA. He needs to bring people to come train the Americans. But then his own base is anti-immigrant and basically anti-international workers. And so, what does Trump do? I don't know. I mean, he's going to try to work out something, but his own base doesn't want jobs apparently. But then he's got also to please Elon Musk and Jensen Huang, who want to build whatever factories, and they need trained workers to work in said things. So we'll see how this plays out. It is a clown show every single day, and I just want to tell you guys what's going on. So